So I bought the Fender Player 2 Telecaster. I also bought the Player 2 Strat. That had a couple of kind of things that were not really okay with it. The skunk stripe in particular was kind of set in too low, and that was causing some flaking at the finish, so I sent that one back. The Telecaster, though, didn't have those types of issues, and I wanted to try gigging it. So I took it to last week's gig in Lewiston School near Sherborne-ish. And I also gigged it last night for a second bit, like the dad rock bit of a gig with Jake, and I wanted to kind of just report on how it did.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
Watching back the footage from the gig, I kind of got annoyed at my own playing and depressed at the tone. Sitting next to Jake. Jake was playing a deluxe reverb. I was playing my Matchless Lightning clone thing from Rift. Yeah, not particularly happy with how I was playing, to be honest. So I think maybe this is just something I need to think about. When I'm feeling like that, I feel like I'm over playing and over forcing stuff. I tried to kind of go back and try and play something simple. If you're looking for inspiration for this kind of thing, I think TrueFire's stuff with Adam Levy is quite inspiring in this regard, and it's kind of less about sort of chops and playing super fast and more about trying to sort of play something, I don't know, sort of chilled and musical, and you can kind of soak that vibe up from Adam. There's this kind of folky jazz stuff, which I thought was really cool. Also, Eric Haugen on TrueFire is a good place for that. TrueFire sponsored the channel, so I kind of talk about it when appropriate. And also, Tim Miller's creative arpeggio design is kind of my favourite course on there. I'm going to dip back into that and just, try and chill out for a bit and not worry about trying to play guitar and be a guitar hero. Just, try and relax a bit. Anyway, so the reports on the guitar are this. I think the neck, for me, is a little bit on the skinnier side than I would like. And what I might do in that case is put on a slightly heavier set of strings. I think it's strung with 9s. At the moment, it's tuned to E flat because for the dad rock part of the set last night, we had it tuned to E flat. We were both in E flat, playing like Boys Are Back in Town and stuff. I basically wanted to play that song since I was like a tiny kid. So, yeah. In terms of how it feels in the hand, I've started now to notice like a little bit of roughness on the rolled edge part. So there are a few ways I think to roll the edge of a fretboard, but this top edge is kind of nice. And what it essentially is out of a CNC machine, it's going to have like a sharp edge, right? You can use like a rolling pin type thing or like a dowel to kind of just smooth off the edges, or you can kind of cut the edges with a scalpel. There are a few ways to do it. I'm not exactly sure what they've done, but this side here is a little bit rougher, and you can kind of just feel it a little bit here. You can't feel fret ends, so it's, you know, not as bad as that, and I think it's gonna wear down in time. But it's just something that's kind of makes the guitar not feel super premium in that regard. I've noticed that after a little bit more playing with it. It's a little on the heavier side, but not crazily so. But you know, over £8 for a telly is not necessarily ideal. If you watch Julian Lage playing one of these in the demo video that I think he did for a guitar shop, he sounds incredible on it. I'm not going to sound like Julian Lage, unfortunately, but for kind of chunky rhythm. It's pretty good. I think that's basically my overall impression of that. I've got no particularly onerous complaints about it. Yeah, no particular complaints about it. It's not necessarily wowing me. I'm not necessarily overly impressed with it. I think there is plenty of competition from folks like Sire and PRS at this kind of price range. I don't know if you've got your own sort of preferences. The other thing I would kind of say is that I don't think anymore there's a huge step in quality necessarily between some of the good Squier stuff and in particular this sort of thing. I think it looks great, and I think that's one thing that the Fender stuff really kind of gets right. Particularly these finishes I think look really quite lovely, and obviously the headstock has the right thing on it, but I don't necessarily feel like it's you know, heads and shoulders above anything else, and you probably might have expected that to be the case, to be fair. I don't know that people necessarily have huge expectations out of like Fender Mexico, but yeah, interesting. Yeah, sorry I can't be more sort of glowing on it, but it's basically fine and like a bit of a workhorse potentially. I'm going to keep gigging it and see if I bond with it a bit more. There's nothing like actually totally wrong with the guitar or anything, it's just not necessarily blowing me away. I feel like my own personal parts caster that I made possibly suits me a little bit better than this and is lighter. But in general, it's pretty good. So yeah, I guess to be able to buy a guitar for, you know, £689, I think there's quite a big Fender premium on that, right? So like a Sire, Larry Colton Telly, I think is in the ballpark of quality, if not maybe a little step above it. It's been my experience having played a bunch of these things. Let me know your experiences in the comments if you've got them. I just kind of wanted to follow up because initially I was, you know, pretty impressed with it. I'm still not unimpressed. It's just not necessarily, yeah, like a little bit of roughness there is something that started to sort of creep in and I'm starting to notice. Yeah, I'm not sure I love it. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. I was using a Helix Native for this intro. Glassy Plexi Lead 2024, I think it's called, something like that. If you want to jump into the Gumroad folder, you'll find a bunch of Helix presets in my folder for £5, and hopefully you'll find some in there that you dig. If you like the sound of most of my videos, it's Eric Lead 2024 that I'm using most of the time, mostly.